Hi everyone. I wanted to make a quick video. Well, actually it might be pretty long, but a lot of people are asking me what I've seen psychically and through remote viewing underground, and what's happening in Australia at the moment and what's been happening in the last few weeks. I did a couple of very, very deep meditations, which are kind of like on the astral realm, and they give me a very strong insight, almost like a remote viewing, and you kind of can't control these visions that you get when you do this type of meditation, which is very deep. It's almost like you're tapping into like the Akashic records. So I just want to preface this by saying that if you're not open to these sorts of very non-3D kind of references that I'm going to be saying, because I'm not going to be talking necessarily about military operations, I'm going to be talking more about what else is happening underground. And these things are, I had like literally no idea that this was going on at all, and I didn't expect it, and the information that came through, I feel like I need to share it with all of you so that you can discern and figure out what you feel is right, and just use your own intuition as to what I'm saying. For me, what I saw was very, very real. Okay, so you could choose to believe me, or you can choose to see it as a metaphor, but it was very, very real. And it's quite horrific, actually, what I saw underground. And so I'm just going to go through. I did write some notes because it was very complex, so I had to try and remember it all because it was last week. And so I will be looking down just because I'm going to be reading some of my notes to remember what it was that I said. So when I tapped into this thing, I basically just wanted to know what was happening in Victoria in particular, and why were they in lockdown, what was going on underground. I hoped to see maybe just a little glimpse of what was happening, like a military operation, or to confirm if they were rescuing children. But what I saw was a lot worse than what I thought, and it made sense as to why, you know, there were curfews and things like that in place. So I hope you can keep an open mind. But basically, you know, when I went through it, it was like another world. It really was like another world. What I saw was like this massive, massive, massive tunnel system, which we've already kind of confirmed. A lot of people are confirming that through maps and, you know, mapping out the earthquakes that are going on. But this I saw just traversing the whole of Australia, going across to Pine Gap, up to, you know, across to Uluru. But in the pit, in the middle of Australia, was almost like a pit of fire. It's literally like a hell. I never thought I would say that ever, because you know, we're sort of, if you've been brought up a Christian, you know, and then you kind of leave that sort of religion, you think, oh, nah, hell was just like a metaphor, it's not real. This literally looked like hell. And the horrific scenes that I saw there, I don't even think I'm going to be able to explain to you what was really underneath the ground. But there was this massive, massive sinkhole underneath Central Australia. I saw these mythical creatures underground. They were like minotaurs. I saw dracos. I saw these ghouls that were white and like blood sucking. I saw gargoyles. I saw what you would call jinn. I saw these black creatures with horns, and they're just horrible, disgusting creatures. And these giant creatures that almost look like like cyclops. I don't know how else to explain it. They were horrible. They were horrible, and they were feeding. They were feeding off these very, very pale children. They were really emaciated. They didn't look like, I have a feeling that these children were bred underground, and they didn't look like human almost. They were so emaciated and white, and they were being tortured and just eaten, and it was like a factory line of them. I got told that Broome in Western Australia, the northern part of Western Australia, was an entry point, and that children were shipped in from Asia and East Timor. So during the war in East Timor, there was a lot of children being brought in from there. There was the biggest thing that I felt from seeing this horrible underground system of just completely mythical, hellish reality or realm was that the energy that they were doing, what they were doing is, look, they're harvesting the energy. They're harvesting the energy of us above ground, as well as eating these children. And the realization that I felt when I was in this meditation was that this energy, this negativity, and this energy of them pulling, sucking our life force from us, from above ground, it's what keeps the hive mind active, basically. So this hell underneath the ground, which is beneath our feet, and it would be all across the world, but I'm focusing on Australia at the moment. It basically keeps those people that we call, sheep or sleepwalkers, it keeps that hive mind active. It's actually that. That's what it is. And they're basically deconstructing this now. So this team of military and this force, this alliance that's working under Trump, they're deconstructing that. They're destroying that. They're taking it apart. So essentially, I mean, the takedown of the cabal was biblical. It really was. And as much as, I wouldn't like to admit it because I don't like religion, I mean, that's literally what's happening. It's biblical. And the people that are above ground, they are literally under a spell. So those of us who are awake, we've somehow escaped this, or we've come out of this spell. But the people who are still under this spell are actually still controlled by this energy that's underground, if I can explain it like that. So only some people are affected by this harvesting. But when all of this gets destroyed, what I'm told is that this spell will be broken. A lot of us keep asking, what's going to happen to all these people who are asleep? What if Trump wins and he takes down the cabal and everything's good and we've got Nasara and all of this stuff happening? What happens to all these people who are asleep? Well, what I actually felt was that once this is all dismantled from underneath the ground, it's like a spell is broken. And it's not necessarily like they're just going to suddenly wake up and they're enlightened and they're amazing. And they're going to be at that stage where you might have been at, where you were questioning things and thinking, hang on, this doesn't make sense. So it's like they come out of this stupor or this fog. This fog has lifted from them. And it's a number of things that happen in order for this spell to be broken, but one of them is the dismantling of these, not just deep underground military bases, but this entire network of hell that's underneath the ground. I was told that 17th of September 2020 will be significant. There's more that I can say about that because I want to talk about what's going on in Victoria in another video, like with in the political situation and what I actually saw through remote viewing regarding Dan Andrews. But I just want to talk about this kind of very strange, mythical sort of situation that I saw underground. I was told that they had to keep everyone inside in Victoria with a curfew because it was dangerous. And it's like literally, we're not talking about dangerous because there's pedophiles walking around. There was literally like demons being released. You know, I know it sounds crazy, but that's basically why they put that mandate. Now, there's two layers to this, because Dan Andrews was kind of given this mandate to sort of follow this particular very draconian kind of way of dealing with his state, and he truly believes that he's carrying out this new world order agenda, but the good guys are in control, and they kind of use that time to protect everyone. So it's kind of this weird double thing that's going on. Okay, so these are demonic pedivores. Basically, these are the creatures that rule the elites. These are the things that the pedophiles and the elites are servants to. And they've enslaved us on Earth. This is another thing that, you know, this has been going on for millennia. And some of the elites have direct contact with them. Now, one of my best friend tapped into something when I was telling her this story. And she said that symbol, the triangle symbol with the spiral in it, that boy love pedophile symbol, it's actually like it's not just a sigil, it's like a port key. They focus on that, some of them. I'm not saying all of them, but the ones that have the power, like in the Vatican, it's like a port key. It, like, they focus on that symbol and it takes them underground. It's like it transports them, and they have to be maybe at some sort of level of this sort of satanic level of knowledge to be able to do that. So what they got in return, these elites for thousands of years, these 13 Venetian families who ruled this world for so long, what they got in return was power and knowledge, and it was dark magic and like a spell power. And all of that's being dismantled, and that's why we're seeing what's going on in this world at the moment. Their last sort of bastion of knowledge, or their last bastion of control, is the media. It's the mainstream media. Now, I want to say that if there was a Satan, like a head kind of demon, he knows they've lost, but he doesn't care. It's like he literally doesn't care. He just wants to exert as much suffering and chaos and hell on earth, even though he knows they're getting taken out. And everything is inverted. So their world is like an inversion of ours. It's like a complete inversion. What I felt was that they literally feed off our reality. We've already known this. We've sort of always been talking about this in, I guess, New Age circles, if that's what you want to call it, or multidimensional sort of people who understand multidimensional layers. But the thing is that they're keeping them feeding off us above ground is what's keeping us grounded in the 3D. We are meant to have these amazing abilities to ascend and to tap into this incredible knowledge in our minds, you know, to be able to have the psychic powers that some of us have naturally, to be able to do telekinesis, to be able to, you know, read each other's thoughts, and to live, you know, to be able to self-rejuvenate our bodies instead of dying young. But all of that was taken from us, and just their kind of darkness that was underneath the ground, that feeding off of us, that drawing of our energy, and it kept us grounded. It kept us grounded in the 3D, and all of that was, you know, part of that whole spell casting thing that they did over most of the world. All of that was to keep us grounded, to keep us trapped, and to keep our souls trapped. So this is working on so many layers. It's like they're not allowing us to leave. They're not allowing us to leave this matrix. They're not allowing us to evolve and become better, and to finally ascend. But this is all being broken down. So at the time of this meditation, which was about a week ago, they said, or what I heard in my head was that they're 2/3 of the way through in dismantling what's underneath Australia. I've recently done another meditation, and what I heard was they've only got a 1/5 of the way to go. They've only got a 1/5 to complete. So we're now nearly in September, so end of August. They've only got a little bit left to go. My feeling is that they really want to complete this before November, before the election. And I'm assuming that this is also including New Zealand and South Africa. Okay, so you don't have to believe me on this next point, but Trump is like literally an angel. It's like he's part of like the Nephilim or the Watchers. I don't know what you want to call it. He has knowledge from his bloodlines, and yeah, he's been compared to like King Cyrus in the Bible. You know, who sort of took down the walls of Jericho, and you can look that up in the Bible in Isaiah. But yeah, basically there is a lot of protection around him, and I also feel that Trump has, and I've felt this in a dream, and it sort of kind of got confirmed in this meditation, that he has like a bloodline of alchemists and like occultists, and people don't know this about him, and I think that even some of the elites didn't know this about him, or the people in the other political parties didn't know this about him, but he's just got this strong white light around him, gold light, and he's just so protected. But it's alchemy, and it's like from an Eastern European kind of background that I keep feeling. So what people don't know is that Trump and the military and the Q team, people think of this as just a military operation and a political operation, strategic sort of thing. It needed to include a lot of occult practices for them to do what they did. They had really strong, white light or good, occultists protecting them, but also dismantling a lot of the stuff underground before they got there. I feel in particular like Pine Gap was in Australia, which, if you don't know, is part of the US military, and a lot of people say that they had a lot of aliens and things like that down there. But I mean, and yes, there is a lot of experiments going on underground, but I didn't look too deeply into that. But that was, it all sounds crazy. It's like they had to get off-world help to very strategically dismantle the tunnels to Pine Gap before they could completely take that down, if that makes sense, because of just the protection that they had, the bad guys underneath there, and there's just so much bad stuff underneath. So now you can sort of see why most Australians are just so asleep, because this stuff is just so bad. It's like, it's just pulling us down and making us really asleep. This is on another level. You've got to think of metaphysical stuff. You can't just look at everything as 3D and what's going on politically. You've really got to look at this as metaphysical as well, operating at the same time as all of this. Now what I heard was that the light workers across the world they are the 144,000 that is often talked about in the Bible. It's not 144,000 people. What I felt was it's like 144,000 clusters of light workers all across the globe. But they are the ones that are keeping this world from completely sinking into destruction. We're the ones that are keeping us afloat so that we don't completely get consumed by the dark agenda. Okay. Now, this incredible thing that I saw, this center of Australia, was like, a pit of fire, and I saw like a whirlpool. And then I realized, oh my God, it's a whirlpool. And I saw these creatures getting sucked into this whirlpool. And then it hit me, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the draining of the swamp. Like, I don't know if this is a metaphor, but it looked literal. It looked like these demonic creatures were being sucked in and just obliterated, destroyed. That could be part of the off-world kind of help that we're getting. I don't know much about that, but I just know that it felt like so cataclysmic and just biblical how this was happening. We really are just so lucky to be inside while all of this World War III is going on. It's just crazy. And I want to sort of explain to you what I saw. I don't want to sort of alienate a lot of people, but I saw the world as flat. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it just looks like a realm. Okay, so so this is Earth, and the above ground was supposed to be like a paradise, but what happened was we have this darkness sort of attached to the bottom, and it's like a magnet. It's like they're stuck to the bottom of this beautiful Earth that was supposed to have these wonderful beings, like human beings, which are, you know, we're supposed to ascend and be joyful, like many other realms. But what happened was this darkness sort of took over and controlled. I do feel like there was this spidery kind of energy as well in some parts underground, and they might be like the AI control as well. So we've got this kind of weird mythical energy as well as a computerized sort of AI darkness that's also controlling stuff underground. But basically, once this darkness is dismantled from underneath the ground, all of Australia will flourish, and so will the rest of the world. There's a major part of this that is so, I'm going to try to be really quick because I've just got a couple more things to explain, but there's a major part of this that once that gets dismantled, I mean, you're just not going to even believe how this world is going to be. And that's how they know that they can implement Nasara, this fairness across the world, this abundance for everyone, because the atmosphere will be a lot better. So basically, I did sort of ask what's going to happen to these children that I saw that were actually rescued. And they're in a really, really bad way. Let's just put it that way. But I saw it was like, okay, so there's parts of the Bible that so they're saying like there's like a resurrection, okay, but it's like they get resurrected. It's like once the darkness is gone, they're able to heal. It's quite weird, and they use this military rejuvenative cures to heal these children, and they heal much better once all of this stuff is dismantled from beneath the earth. I just want to leave you guys with a few sort of ideas about, have a think about South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. Why were we under the harshest lockdown? We are the closest to Antarctica. Antarctica is kind of like this big plug hole part of this. And then I might leave the next part to another video, and I'm just going to finish this off, but this has to do with Uluru, and it has to do with the Vatican as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you don't think I'm a nut job, but I really felt compelled to say it in a video rather than writing this out, and I hope you can share it and just listen and see if this resonates with you. Okay, bye.